Hello and welcome to another edition of Mailbag. What is Mailbag? Well, Mailbag is a feature of the channel where you guys leave lots of comments on the channel and I attempt to answer those comments, or if I can't answer those comments, I throw it out to you guys who have more knowledge on some of this stuff than I do. So let's get into the first mailbag of this session. Remember, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Go over to Instagram and follow me there. Go over to Facebook, follow me there. That's where the normal notices are. And consider becoming a Patreon. Next comment or question comes from Chaos22. Response to the Yamaha SY77 using diagnostic mode, a video I did in February 2024. And Chaos writes, how I program the sounds when I need to select an instrument exactly on live performances. And unfortunately this is a translation from Portuguese, I think, and it's not translated particularly well, but I think it's how do I program sounds when I need to select a specific instrument in a live performance. But you know, there's ambiguity in the question. So assuming that what I said second was what was being asked, I then wrote back and said, essentially that's what the performance section on the synthesizer is all about. The whole idea is that you can group one or more sounds and effects into a patch, so that the keyboard is then set up for the next song. So effectively it's a performance. So if you've got zones on the keyboard with different sounds, if you've got layers on the keyboards, if you're running specific effects over certain sounds, you can set all that up in a performance and then you just select the performance. And you know, the way a lot of people do it is effectively you know, if you've got a set list, you set the performances up in accordance with the running order of the set list and just hope, for example, that your band leader or your group leader doesn't decide to change the set list on the fly. So doing something like that in Billy Joel's band would probably be a nightmare, because Billy has a habit of apparently changing the set list on the night and expecting all his band members to understand, or understands the wrong word, because they all understand, they all play all of his hits, but it's all of a sudden you turn around and say, right, we're going to do this one tonight and we'll slot it in at position 5. So if you've got your set performance list going dum 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 dum, when you get to 5, it's not going to be the right one. But the keyboardist who was on the Keyboard Chronicles not long ago said that he basically had all these things set up as patch lists, and he knew that, you know, if scenes from an Italian restaurant was 55 or something on his, I think he's playing a Kurzweil, but on his particular keyboard, and therefore, you know, he got to the point where when the set list was presented with him, he just wrote down the patch numbers or the performance numbers and dialed them in at the beginning of each song. I will be making more videos on the SY77 and the SY99 as we go through the latter part of the year. I was hoping to do a lot more video in early part of the year on these two keyboards, because I started setting up, and then if you watch the channel you'll know I've had a lot of building work done at home, and every time the builders turn up to do the next piece of work I kind of lose the workshop completely, because they need places to put materials and they need places to put tools and stuff that they're using. And therefore I just completely, you know, if I were to go into my workshop at the moment, the day I'm recording this, my workbench is literally covered with bags of stuff relating to the conservatory, bags of stuff relating to the new wall that's being built, you know, and I've got no space in there to actually do any refresh, repair work, remediation work at all at the moment. So I've got another week of the builder, or another 2 weeks of the builders here, should I say, at the point of recording. So 2 weeks time they go, and then I get my workshop back, and then I can clean it for the nth time this year. because every time they leave, the whole place is absolutely covered in dust. You know, so I can then just effectively clean it and then get on with some of the repair work. Now, if you haven't seen the original the video about this place now exists, and that allows me also to do a lot of the sort of tutorial stuff relating to synthesizers that I haven't been able to do for probably about a year or more, actually, because of the stuff that's going on in the house. So there is stuff coming. I need to sort of write the scripts, I need to get the keyboards back from storage, but I have got space here now to be able to do all that work that I was struggling to do when I didn't have this space. So keep them peeled, things are coming. Next comment or question comes from Hilano, and this was in response to setting MIDI on the Roland System-1, swap out of the Roland R8M main board. Video I did in August 2023. Hilana writes, I was using System-1 connected to a PC to control VSTs via MIDI. It was working fine. I switched to a Mac and it no longer works with the System-1 to do effect control. System-1 does not even appear in Ableton's configuration. As before I changed it, the cable didn't solve the problem. I tested it with another synthesizer. It was okay. Can you help? Another one of these cryptic, it worked one day and it doesn't work tomorrow. Anyway, these are always difficult to, you know, you have to go through a diagnostic mindset, I suppose, is what I'm getting at here. In that, I mean, I work in IT, so we kind of have to work through problems all the time. So you get into that sort of, what are the steps to diagnose something. And in this case, the thing that springs to mind is whether you have the Roland System-1 driver loaded. Because if you don't load it correctly on a Mac, and you don't load it, and if it asks for you to set security settings, you don't do that in 30 minutes, then it basically blocks that manufacturer, the author, from operating on your machine until you then deinstall whatever it happened to be and reinstall it, and then have to go through the whole thing again within 30 minutes. So it is a bit of a pain in the arse, to be honest, but that is how things work following, I can't remember, was it Catalina? Yeah, once you did Catalina, I think it was. I could be wrong on that, but one of the operating systems introduced this 30-minute security feature. So that would be my first thing. If it's not showing up on the Mac, the reason it's not showing up is because the Mac can't see it, and more than likely the issue with the Mac not being able to see it is the fact the driver's not there or not correctly installed, or it's being blocked by the operating system. Helena did then respond, but I don't actually understand the response. So, and he never responded again. So I'm sorry, I'm not sure I got to the bottom of that one. But I think the more important thing about this query is around, and I've said this many times before when people have said about installing drivers, Roland equipment is not class compliant. That means that when you plug it into a computer, the computer does not automatically recognise the device, and more importantly does not go off and download the software for the device so that you can actually run it. You have to install the driver. And because you have to install the driver, and it's exactly the same on the PC, although the PC seems more lenient than the Mac. But if you don't install the driver, the damn thing won't work. It's as simple as that. And a lot of people get sort of quite confused about that. But remember, Roland equipment is not class compliant. That's the bottom line. You have to install a driver. If you don't install a driver, the likelihood of it working on a common driver is pretty low.